I always say this because it makes me smile all the time, but years ago, when the Dodge Viper came out, the salesman told me, you know, this is 400 horsepower. You'll never see that in a production car again. Those days are gone with, you know, so you better buy this thing now. And of course I fell for it.
Yeah. Big news on the Hellcat. Turns out they're not ending it. According to Motor Trend anyways, they have some sort of source on the inside that said, yes, they are going to be continuing with another generation of Hellcats. Was that all a just big marketing ploy by Dodge to get you to buy a whole bunch of their models because they know they were coming out with a new model year, and this model year nobody would buy if everyone knew they were coming out with a new model year? I don't have the answer for that. But what I do know is a couple of things we're going to talk about today. Number one, you're going to see a whole bunch of videos and articles talking about a competition won in the school for the 2025 Hellcat. Look at the date. That goes all the way back to 2016. That competition, I'm like 99% sure, was actually for the EV charger. From what I understand, at least from Motor Trend anyway, is they're not going to do any radical changes because it's a proven platform that sells well. And what's the most important thing? The bottom line. And we all know that people will buy the Hellcat and Chargers, so why change them too much? You probably will see a couple of changes though, and Motor Trend even reports on this. It's going to be lighter with more horsepower. One of the biggest downsides to the Hellcats, whether that's Charger or Challenger, is they're a freaking tank. You practically need a CDL to drive that bad boy. It weighs a lot. So even though they're packing a whole bunch of horsepower, in the grand scheme of things, they're really all not that fast. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're fast. They got plenty of power, but the weight, it's just like dragging a boat anchor. They're really, really heavy. Talking like 4,500 pounds heavy. They should be around like 3,500, 3,000, and that would make them fast. If you had a better power to weight ratio, it would be a whole different animal. So, the next thing we've been hearing a lot about is an E85 Hellcat. Now, why haven't we had E85 muscle cars before? And there's a very simple answer to this. That is because the EPA had restrictions that a car had to get so much gas mileage. Well, as of June 30th, the EPA got smacked down by the Supreme Court and they lost their ability to regulate things like gas mileage. So it's very possible we may actually be seeing an E85 Hellcat. Now, a flex fuel is different than an E85. A flex fuel, you don't really gain anything from. Yeah, you can modify your blower and pick up some power from that, but what really makes a lot of power is a dedicated E85 engine. That's because it can handle up to as much as 15-to-1 compression. Where your standard like 91, you're maxing out at like 10, 11-to-1 compression. I did a specific dedicated video on E85 if you'd like to check it out and learn more about fuels and exactly how E85 gives you so much power. But basically, if you made a dedicated E85 Hellcat engine, you would have ginormous power because you could run 15-to-1 compression, which means like your 10, 12 pounds of boost would be nothing. You'd be up to like 25, 30 pounds of boost. It'd probably be twin turboed and it'd probably just have a massive amount of power. And since the EPA got smacked down, E85 is looking like a pretty good option. Now this just happened less than a month ago, so any statement made by Dodge or Stellantis prior to that does not take that decision into effect. So wait for them to come out with new information because things will change. But sometimes it takes a little bit for things to go through the wash and iron all out. But things like the Hellcat coming to an end and no E85 muscle cars, those are probably things of the past. We may see the Hellcat proceed forward for the foreseeable future. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize that because as you notice, the price of Hellcats have been dropping like a stone lately. Not just because of that. Like there's the used car bubble. I did a video on that as well. You can check that out if you want to know more about that. But basically they did a whole bunch of subprime loans and they're all exploding and coming back around to bite them. Plus finding out that the Hellcat isn't ending. The price of Hellcat's like, it's kind of like that little mountain climber on The Price is Right, like, well, he just fell off the cliff. They totally blew it.
You're not going to the TED either. I am getting worried. Hey, right there. Now stop right there.
So yeah, the Hellcats, like the older models, they are going to get stupid cheap. So if you're looking to buy one, wait a little longer, and trust me, it will be within your budget. Hardest part is, though, is trying to get a loan for it because of all those subprime repossessions. The banks are going to really pull back on exactly who they give money to. So, we covered the Hellcat's likely to be around for the foreseeable future. I believe Motor Trend is 100% accurate. Again, I also reported on that like 2 months ago. Check that video out if you want to see more on that. It's not going to be done in 2024. I mean, you never know. Anything could happen. They could just pull it because they lost contracts with whoever. But they don't need to pull it now. So is it going to be done in 2024? Not very likely.
I remember when I got my Dodge Viper. I remember, Bob Lutz is a friend, and he said it's got 400 horsepower. You'll never see that again. I said, give me one. And then the GTS Coupe came out. He said, it's 450 horsepower. There'll never be anything. All right, give me one of those. So each year it just gets better.
Will it be powered on E85? Yeah, it's very possible. After the Supreme Court decision, E85 is now back on the table. We may see an E85 Hellcat. No matter what, though, they're going to be shaving weight off of it. Because that is the number one problem with the Hellcats, is they're just too freaking heavy. And you're going to see an engine with more horsepower, whether that's E85 or another traditional gasoline-powered engine. Who knows? Again, all that just rolls back around to the Supreme Court decision, because that opened up the floodgates. And we're going to see a whole bunch of changes that just weren't in the cards before, but now they are. Anyways, appreciate you guys watching my video. If you'd like to check out any more of my videos, definitely click on one of the links. If you'd like to help support the channel, don't forget to subscribe.